We often hear people talking about domestic violence, and today we will explore the signs of domestic violence with Lisa Alexander, founder and executive director of Stand Up Survivor. Welcome to Legal Connections, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's
Very
so good
excited.
to see you
Thank
and
you.
looking forward to hearing about Stand Up Survivor. But first, tell us what domestic violence is.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great question, only because people think they know, but they're not really sure. So domestic violence has a lot of different components. There's physical, which of course we know is the bruises, the broken arms, maybe things like that. You have emotional and psychological abuse, which is the words, the calling out their name, the disrespect, the demeaning words, the controlling words. Then you have psychological, you have sexual abuse, you have financial abuse, and there's spiritual abuse. And the whole point of domestic violence is power and control. So it's that person trying to exert power and control over their partner. That is the entire point of domestic violence.
I would have never thought that all those things fit under the domestic violence umbrella.
Yes, they do. And people oftentimes are in relationships that are unhealthy and they can't really figure out why. And those components are huge signs within their relationship.
And what are the signs?
Well, of course we know the ones, the broken arms, the black eyes, which is what we expect to see, right? But there's also the isolation. You know, let's move out of town. You and your family are too close. Or you see someone who always has to have their phone on them and they always have to answer the phone, or they can't miss a phone call, or they're isolating themselves from friends and family. They're not able to do the things that they used to be able to do. I mean, you can always tell if you have a friendship or a relationship with someone and their behavior has started to change, maybe when they started dating someone. And those are some things that you'll definitely want to look out for.
Right. And that's so, which brings to mind the question, what do you do if you know someone and you suspect it, because you don't want to overstep your boundaries? So what do you do if you
Well,
think...
you know, people ask that all the time, and it's like, well, I want to go save everybody. Like, I want to put them and their children on my back and run out. But honestly, that's just number one, not safe, but number two, not wise, right? And a person that's in an abusive relationship, they're the only ones that know their partner the way that they do. So if you know someone, offer a listening ear, provide resources and support to them. Say, hey, you may not be ready to go. I'm noticing some changes in you, some signs. So here's this pamphlet. Here's a website. Here's a person that you can contact. You know, be a listening ear. And I always tell people, never give up on someone who's experiencing domestic violence. They may ask for help 1,000,000 times, right, and still go back. But they could be that 1,000,001 time that they decide to leave, and that could be the one time that saves their life. So just be there for them. Don't try to do anything or change it for them.
That's excellent, wise counsel. Tell us about Stand Up Survivor.
Okay, well, I started Stand Up Survivor in 2015, and I was a survivor of domestic violence for my first marriage. We met in church. Like, I was the praise and worship leader. He worked in the sound booth, and I thought, well, this is going to be amazing. But before long, he started becoming very controlling, where I was going, what I was doing. And then I became pregnant with our daughter a couple years later, and that's when the physical abuse started. But at this point, I believe in marriage. I don't believe in divorce. I have to stay. And so it became very violent. Statistically, you know, domestic violence increases or begins when a woman becomes pregnant. And 4 months after I had my daughter, I got pregnant with my son. And then I thought, I definitely can't leave. He told me no one else would want me. I wouldn't be anything. He didn't let me go to school, so I didn't even have a bachelor's degree. Like, it was the basics of everything. He isolated me from family and friends. And so it really was trying to figure out who I was. And it became so bad that I knew he was going to kill me. It wasn't like, I wonder if, it was a when. And so I knew that I had to escape with my children. And so one night, that's why I love doing things like this, because one night I saw a lady sharing her story. And I packed up that night with my children and I left.
Wow.
And so I slowly started talking about it once I was safe, and I thought people would reach out and say, oh, this happened to me too. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you say anything? Do you mean you could have saved me and my children from years of abuse? And so I said, it's time to stand up, use my voice. And that's how the nonprofit began, because as I started to speak up, I realized that I was freeing others to speak up too. So.
Wow. Well, we are so glad that you are here and sharing this wisdom and supporting others who are struggling with the same things. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Domestic violence is a major concern nationwide. Help is available. Please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233. That number again is 800-799-7233.